A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
The Jesus Club community is about to do a conference which is aimed at churches to help equip them and their members minister to people with intellectual disabilities. And Josh Reid, the operations manager for Jesus Club community, joins us now to tell us all about it. Josh, welcome.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
So tell us all about this conference, Josh.
Well, Jesus Club Conference has been going for a number of years. I've been involved with the organisation for the last 5, including when we first had to do it live streamed during COVID, but let's not talk about those days. And this conference is for our club leaders, the volunteer coordinators and leaders of the church-based Jesus Clubs, but it's also open to the general public, really any Christian person who's interested in how can the local church or how can we as a Christian community connect with adults or people with intellectual disabilities.
Yeah, and how long, the conference has been going 5 years, how long has Jesus Club community been going for now in Australia?
It's been going for about 15 years, roughly, Andrew. And it's started as a very grassroots organisation by a lady called Mel Fung, who wanted to do something in her church. And so she started a Jesus Club program, or an early version of what we now have as the Jesus Club program in her church, putting things like the Bible, the gospel message into a format and into a language that adults with intellectual disabilities can understand, comprehend, and accept.
Yeah, and there's also an evangelistic aim or thrust behind it too, isn't there? That the idea was to preach the gospel to people with intellectual disabilities.
Yeah, very much, Andrew. We, as Christians, of course, believe that we are all made in the image of God. And for us, that means that also includes people who are severely intellectually or physically disabled. And so Jesus Club, the organisation, Jesus Club community, sets out to introduce the gospel of Jesus Christ and the good news of Jesus Christ to adults with intellectual disabilities. And also then we also continue to disciple people who are either already are disciples of Jesus Christ or might want to become if that's their choice.
Yeah, and I mean, I see now you've got 27 Jesus Club programs being run in churches around Australia and even 3 in Singapore. That's quite a vast number of people being ministered to. How do you coordinate all the leaders and the volunteers for those Jesus Clubs?
Yep, so we have a very comprehensive training program. So if a new church comes along and wants to start a Jesus Club, they might have people with intellectual disabilities already in their congregation, or they just have somebody who's got a heart for this type of mission work. We basically run the central support office, which is Jesus Club Community. That's what I do. And we send out, monthly newsletters to our coordinators. We have a WhatsApp group where we keep in touch regularly. We connect coordinators, newer coordinators to more experienced coordinators. And we have various things throughout the year. The major event that we have for all of our volunteers, whether they're the coordinator, the volunteer in charge of that Jesus Club at a church, or whether they are one of the key leaders, we have this conference for them, and it's to equip them, to build them up, to actually, maybe answer some questions that they've got, as well as a great opportunity for them to network with other people. And because we're spread, primarily, because it's where it started, we're primarily spread across Sydney, CBD, but now we have 2 clubs in the Illawarra, which is Wollongong, and also a little bit south of Wollongong, Albion Park, closer to Shell Harbour. But we also have a club in Albury, which is a fair way from Wollongong and Sydney. And we're also talking to people in Brisbane and the Gold Coast at the moment. And we have places, churches that are running Jesus clubs in Orange, New South Wales, Tamworth, and also Tasmania, a little town called Wynyard. Not Sydney Wynyard, but Wynyard in northeastern Tasmania.
So you're definitely growing. So there's obviously a real need there that Jesus Club is stepping into, and I'm imagining it brings a real joy to the hearts of your volunteers and your workers who are ministering in this space, and just seeing people saved and seeing people discipled, who are living with a disability, an intellectual disability.
Mm. Yeah, it absolutely is, Andrew. It actually, the ministry work that we do as Christians can often be very tiring. But I've had many of the leaders of Jesus Club say to me, you know what, Josh, I work all the time, and on a Tuesday night or whatever night their particular Jesus Club happens to be, I never feel like going. But I go, and when I interact with these people that are a little bit different to me, and I talk to them, and they tell me about what they understand about Jesus, they will say, we get so energized. And one guy said, it was pretty much quoting him, saying he finds that it builds him up, and it actually, what's important for him is not just the ministry that he does for God to these people, but he can see that it's a work that God's doing in him every time that he goes and leads at a Jesus Club. So it benefits adults with intellectual disabilities. It benefits adults without intellectual disabilities, as well as the carers or parents and family of the members of the clubs.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's building the kingdom, and it sounds like a snapshot of any Christian ministry. I find personally, when I don't feel like doing something and I do it because I know it's the right thing to do, you always feel better afterwards, whether it be read the Bible or preach. I think the times in life when I've never felt like preaching as a preacher, and I end up doing it, it usually has the best outcomes because there's something in me and my humanity that doesn't want to do it. So it sounds like you guys are definitely on the front line. But let's talk about you, Josh, because you've got a background in Christian radio, Christian media, and you've ended up in this space the last 5 years. And you just told me that you love the current role you're doing now more than anything else you've done in life. Why do you love it so much?
It's because it's so it's because it's just so grassroots and so simple. And I don't mean that the people are simple. I mean that the way the organisation is set up, it's set up to be a very small organisation to focus on a very minimal support, central support organisation. I love that it is volunteer strong. We must have about 300 volunteers in around Australia and Singapore running these clubs every fortnight. And I love that it is a powerful, a straightforward, like the Jesus Club program is a template that any church can use, and it's been definitely proven to work. But just the way that God works through it always amazes me. And it's set up for God to minister through the program to the lives of these people with intellectual disabilities, and it's going to an unreached people group. So rather than going overseas or tapping into some obscure subculture, this is actually a ministry that's we're aware of. We're aware that people have intellectual disabilities in our culture at the moment, and it's a ministry to these unreached people group, and it's teaching them the gospel, or even introducing the gospel to them in a way that they can understand. So if I can add to that, just generally speaking, you and I, Andrew, might be able to understand concepts in abstract terms. So we can understand salvation, and it might take us a while to put that into a sentence, exactly what that means, but we understand that abstract concept, whereas somebody with an intellectual disability generally won't. They're generally concrete thinkers, very black and white, and so we have to take some of the abstract concepts in the gospel of Jesus to and make them clear. So, for example, we never say salvation, but we'll say being friends with King Jesus forever.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, love it. Well, Josh, if I was to ask you 3 words to sum up, Jesus Club, what 3 words would you use just to really, articulate what Jesus Club is all about?
Yep, Jesus Club is simple, it's church-based, and it's all about belonging.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Now, your conference is Saturday, the 12th of October. It's in St. Andrew's House in Sydney. Whereabouts is St. Andrew's House in Sydney?
It's right above Town Hall Station. So it's in Town Hall Square in the Sydney CBD. I'll be taking a train up there and just, hopping up into the elevator and we're there. And of course, it's also online because we have a lot of clubs that aren't in Sydney.
Yeah, okay. So some of your people, like your Orange people, for example, may not be coming to Sydney on the train, or your Albury people, but they'll be viewing it online. And, one other question, Josh, how many people are you expecting at the conference? Like, is there already registrations, or are you aiming for a certain number? What sort of a group are we talking about?
Yeah, we've already got about 35 people registered for the conference. That's mainly our coordinators and leaders. I'd like to get at least 50, which I think we will. And online, about 8 of these are the Singapore groups, but I think we've probably got about another 40 already registered for online. I do have a discount code for Vision listeners if they're interested in signing up for the conference too.
Yeah, what is that? What is that discount code?
I made it simple, Vision 2024.
Oh, there you go. That's an easy one. Vision 2024. It's the Jesus Club conference. And the theme of the conference this year is belonging. And I'll tell you what, we all need to feel like we belong somewhere in this crazy, mixed up, complicated world we live in. But Josh Reid, I want to thank you so much for joining us on 2020 today. We wish you all the best for the conference. And Josh, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Vision now have a digital signal across Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane. So we do have more listeners in Sydney now. And to all our Sydney listeners, if you've got a real heart to reach out to or minister to people with an intellectual disability, this is the place for you. It's called the Jesus Club. They've got a conference on the 12th of October in Sydney at St. Andrew's House, right in the CBD there above Town Hall. And Josh, what's the best website for people to connect to you guys with as well?
Go to jesusclub.org.au.
jesusclub.org.au. Josh Reid, I want to thank you for joining us on 2020 today.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.